What's the funniest thing a kid ever said to you? I've always been the cool aunt to my brother's kids, partly because I spoil them with gifts, but mostly because I convinced them I'm secretly a superhero. It started when my niece caught me doing yoga. I told her I was training for missions, and somehow that evolved into a whole backstory about my secret identity. For 3 years, I've maintained this lie with fake calls from my superhero boss and mysterious excuses to leave family gatherings when there's trouble downtown. The kids eat it up. They whisper about my powers and ask if I've saved anyone lately. I always nod and say, "That's classified information." My brother thinks it's harmless fun, and being anti-lightning is the most exciting thing about my boring accounting job. I even bought a cheap blue mask that I hide in my purse as proof. The dedication I've put into this charade is probably why I'm still single at 34, but making those kids' eyes light up feels worth it. Last month, my 7-year-old nephew Jake started 1st grade, and I could tell something was bothering him when I picked him up for our weekly ice cream date. Usually he bombards me with questions about villain fights, but that day he just stared out the window, clutching his backpack. I figured maybe he had a bad day, so I tried my usual tricks. I whispered that my superhero senses detected sadness and offered to take him to the toy store. Nothing worked. At the ice cream shop, I ordered his favorite, chocolate with gummy bears, but he barely touched it. I asked if someone was being mean to him at school, already planning how I'd march into that classroom and give some bully a stern talking to. Jake just shook his head. Finally, he looked up with those big brown eyes and asked if we could talk somewhere private. We sat on a park bench, and I went into full superhero aunt mode, promising I could fix whatever was wrong. Jake took a deep breath, looked around, and whispered, "Tommy at school says superheroes aren't real." My heart sank. Before I could launch into my well-rehearsed speech, he continued, "But I told him my aunt is one, and I have proof." Relief washed over me. I smiled and asked what proof he had given Tommy. Jake's face lit up with pride as he unzipped his backpack and pulled out a folder labeled "Top Secret" in crayon. "I showed the whole class these," he announced. Inside were dozens of photos, pictures of me that he had clearly taken secretly with his mom's phone. There I was, asleep on the couch with my mouth wide open. Me with wet hair and a face mask, screaming at a spider. Me bent over in the garden with a massive sweat stain on my butt. And the worst, me sitting on the toilet with my pants around my ankles, scrolling on my phone with a double chin, all labeled with captions like "Anti-lightning resting after saving the city" and "Superhero in disguise." I was mortified. "Jake," I whispered, "who exactly saw these photos?" He beamed with pride and said, "Everyone, even Mrs. Peterson. She asked for copies for the parent newsletter." I felt the blood drain from my face. 26 first graders and their parents had seen me on the toilet. The principal had seen me on the toilet. And guess what? Jake continued excitedly, oblivious to my horror. "Tommy said the funniest thing after seeing your pictures." I managed to croak out, "What did he say?" Jake giggled and replied, "He said you don't look like a superhero. You look like his mom when she's constipated." I sat there frozen, as Jake happily returned to his ice cream. "Don't worry," he said. "I told him constipated people can be superheroes too. That's what makes you so good at your secret identity." I drove him home in silence, called in sick to work for a week, and seriously considered moving to another country. Now, whenever I visit my brother's house, I check every door twice before using the bathroom, and I still feel like I'm being watched by 26 pairs of first-grade eyes.